this is for Group 11 for the Deconstructed Art Journals. The subject for this one was something from our culture or our heritage. Unfortunately, there was only 2 others that joined this. I thought it was a great idea that Lynn came up with, but there was just the 3 of us. So, there isn't going to be that much inside of this, but I enjoyed what I did get, and it's beautiful. What I decided to do with the cover is the fact that it had to do with our heritage and our culture. I took a picture that I had of my grandparents' wedding and just made a copy in black and white on just regular copy paper, and then did a little watercolor on that. This came from Lynn. She had this inside of her envelope. It says never never give up, and this little hand here, it's so cute. It says handmade, and it's a little hand there, and this ribbon with the bell, and I like how that came out. And then I just took her postage stamp and put that on there. Again, I did the same kind of folder with the file folders. I seem to like how it fits inside of this. That's what I'm going to do for now on as far as the binding is concerned. In here, my other partner was Amy, and I love her feathers that she does and all the colors that she picks. I really, really like her work, anything that she does. And then, oops. And then in here, of course, she does really nice collage work and all her colors. And I just like everything that Amy does. She's very modest, but she's really good at what she does. And she has a pure tea, and she has some of her Chinese writing. And so what she wrote in there is, tea is an important part of Chinese culture. It is served to welcome guests as a form of respect and is a long-held tradition in all classes. It is also a general health tonic said to promote long life and vitality. I like that. And some more of her bright colors. Okay, this is from Lynn. Now, she's in Australia, and she did such a beautiful job in depicting the different aspects of Australia. I have never been, but it seems like a beautiful country. Here, of course, she has the map of Australia. And those of us here in the States, when we think of Australia, of course, we think of the kangaroos. And she has her kangaroo. Also, I'm hoping they call it boomerangs down there. I know that's what we call them up here. And then also she has the silhouette of the Sydney Opera House. That is so pretty. And then here, she has a beautiful picture of the outback in Australia, and that is so pretty. And here is the call. It's like a cheer, a chant. If you ever see any games from Australia, the whole field is, especially I remember the, what was it, 2000, I can't remember, 2000 I think. The Olympics were there, and you'd hear them cheering that in those stadiums. And then here she has some of the Aboriginal art from the Aborigines. It's so pretty. I love that artwork. Very nice. Then, of course, like I said, there was only 3 of us, so that's Amy's, that's Lynn's, and then mine. And so what I did on the front of my cover and the back of my cover, I put stamps representing the different countries that represent my background and my culture. So I have here a stamp from France. I have a stamp from Mexico, stamp from Portugal, and a stamp from Italy. And one of my favorite artists is Diego Rivera. I like his, I won't say I like all of his art, because his art on the dark side I'm not fond of, but his artwork that has to do with positive images of women, and his series of paintings that have to do with like the marketplace, with the flower markets, and his festive ones where they're dancing. I love that work. And so I decided to do one of his pieces, which is this little girl who is in one of these marketplaces, and she has these lilies behind her, and it's one of my favorite ones that he does. So I decided to botch it up and try to do it myself, but reflecting part of my culture. It was interesting when this topic came up. I started to think about when I first became aware that there was any difference between people. You know, when we're children, we don't know the difference until somebody teaches us that there's a difference. And so I guess I got a little more introspective when it came to this particular challenge with these pages. And so what I did, I incorporated, I thought it was a short letter, but I think it's a long letter. Kind of illustrating when I very first became aware that there was a difference when it came to nationality and culture and race. And so this is what I included with my pages, and I'll read this. I can remember the first time I was made aware of nationality, culture, and race. I was 7 years old, and my teacher gave us homework. We were to draw a picture of our culture or heritage. I remember going home having absolutely no concept of what she was talking about. My dad explained that in a way that I could understand. So, my next question was, what am I? My mom told me she had French, she had Spanish, and American Indian. My dad told me he had Italian, Mexican, and Portuguese. So, I chose Mexican because I could draw a taco, my favorite food at the time. The next day at school, we were going to have a show and tell with our picture. When it was my turn, I proudly showed my taco and introduced myself as a Mexican. My teacher turned white, I should say whiter than she already was. She quickly took me out of the classroom and proceeded to tell me that I could not be a Mexican. Not understanding the implications of what she was saying to me, I said, okay, I'm Italian too. I was off to draw my piece of pizza. The backstory is that we were from California and had moved to a southern state because of my father's work. It was 1965, and I was in a part of the country that was not complying with the Civil Rights Act of 1964. As an adult, I found out that during our time there, blacks and Mexicans still had separate restrooms and drinking water from the whites. Both were still being physically abused, so that's why my teacher had said I could not be a Mexican. 7 years later, when I was 14, we were back in California. I went to a classmate's home to do homework. Her mother came into the room to give us a snack. I thanked her. She proceeded to compliment my good manners and how accent-free my English was. I guess it would have surprised her to know that English was the only language I had ever spoken. But my good manners that she had just complimented me for earlier prevented me from exposing her ignorance. In my 20s, I still lived in California, about 20 miles north of San Diego, and weekly I would be pulled over by the Border Patrol asking where I lived, where I was born, and proof of ID. I often wondered if they were impressed by my accent-free English.